Kai Havertz to Arsenal Football Club. I know what you're thinking. I know. I was thinking it as well. But give it a moment. They might be onto something. Okay, so yes, Kai Havertz seems to be heading towards Arsenal. Personal terms are not a great issue, and that means that the transfer fee is the main sticking point, which should be resolved sooner rather than later, judging by the fact that Chelsea desperately need to sell players, and Kai Havertz will bring in a decent chunk of change. So, if he were to go to Arsenal, are Arsenal getting a good deal? Well, yeah, kind of. Let's take a look. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, it really would mean a lot to me, and hit that notification bell. You don't want to miss what's coming up. And now, let's discuss Kai Havertz to Arsenal. Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz. I did a video recently about Mauricio Pochettino and him arriving at Chelsea, and nearly every single comment, or a lot of comments I got, were about Kai Havertz. About Havertz not needing to be in the squad because they had better players, they had Nkunku and everything, and I think he's being pretty disrespected. He's 24 years old, which is pretty young, really. He's got quality and he's got talent, and although he's not worth the 90 million that Chelsea paid for him, or thereabouts, I still think he's got a lot in him. On top of the fact that I think a lot of people are now realising that Havertz playing as a centre-forward isn't really the answer. So if you were to take him out of a Chelsea side who don't really create chances all too much, and put him into a side that do, alongside other quality creative players in a different position that might suit him, could you get more out of him? I think you'd find the answer is yes. And when you think back to what he did for Leverkusen so well, was it playing as a striker? No, not really. Was it playing as some kind of false nine hybrid? Again, no. He doesn't really have the speed or the agility or awareness to be able to play in the middle of the box. He doesn't have that clinical edge that I think a lot of strikers desperately need. So why is he playing there? He was playing there out of a need that Chelsea had because they just didn't have the strikers there. Chelsea have a problem with strikers and creating for their strikers, especially last season. Romelu Lukaku decided he wanted to leave after they spent so much money on him. So Kai Havertz is almost a victim of the system that he was put into. But if he was to go somewhere else, if he was to go to Arsenal, could he improve? And could he improve them? I'd argue yes, by quite a distance. So, let's take Havertz out of this centre-forward role, and let's put him somewhere else. And let's think about what he did so well for Leverkusen. In Leverkusen, he played as a central attacking midfielder, often known in general abbreviation as a cam. So, when he did this, he dropped a little bit deeper, he ran with the ball, he was able to create passes, create opportunities for players, but also at the same time, he managed to get himself in the box. Let's put him there for this Arsenal side. Here we have Havertz in what I would believe, and I think Mikel Arteta believes, is the best position for him. He's out on this left-hand side in this left attacking midfield position. And why he's here is, number one, because Granit Xhaka is expected to leave. If he hasn't already, then he is going to. He's actually going to Leverkusen himself, I believe. And I think that Mikel Arteta believes that Kai Havertz can play this left attacking midfield role, just opposite Martin Odegaard. I think he could replace that role. He's got more experience than Fabio Vieira. He's got a better engine on him to be able to work with it. He's tall. He's physically quite good. He can win certain aerial duels when he needs to in a lower attacking midfield role. And at the same time, he can drift into space and drift into the box where he likes. Kai Havertz himself has admitted that he prefers being in a side that allows him to be a little loose, allows him to roam into areas and pick up pockets. He couldn't do that at Chelsea because of the restrictive nature of where he needed to play. He needed to be the front man, the centre forward, and at times Chelsea just struggled to find him in the positions that he wanted to be in. But in this role, he can do a multitude of different things. He can make runs for Martinelli, who would want to come inside. He can then make driving runs, much like Granit Xhaka has done in the most recent season, making overlapping or underlapping runs for the winger to be able to create extra space. He's got a decent left foot on him, and out on this left-hand side, I believe crosses could be played into the likes of Gabriel Jesus or Eddie Nketiah. And let's not forget that when the ball is on the opposite side of the pitch, he can make his way into the box because he does have an attacking thought in him. When Arsenal go forwards, we know Zinchenko comes into midfield, and next to a rather optimistically predicted Declan Rice, I might add, he could be another major attacking player to go forwards. If you think about the attributes that he has, he's got everything that this Arsenal team would need. Coupled with Martin Odegaard, who would be another level on this side, I think he could seriously improve Arsenal. What Arsenal really need in this position is a Granit Xhaka who's 5 to 6 years younger. Now, yes, Havertz doesn't have the experience, and yes, Havertz doesn't have the wand of a left foot to be able to cross-field pass. But who's to say he can't learn that, first of all? And second of all, he also has attributes that Granit Xhaka doesn't have. Pace, he has, I'd argue, certain better positioning in attacking areas, and he's also got a willingness to work. If we have a look at some of his stats, he's actually quite good defensively, especially against other teams in his, or other players I should say, in his position. He tracks back, and it means that if Arsenal wanted to press from the front because of his pace, because of his mobility, and because of his ability to really make sure he can get interceptions, tackles, and the like, I think he could be really useful further forward. But not so further forward that everything is reliant upon him. He can share the workload with Martin Odegaard, and he can also help Odegaard from being the literal main man because teams are going to target him. It just makes sense from an Arsenal point of view, in my opinion. And then we can have a look at his versatility, because this isn't the only role that he could play. Take a look at this. I think he could also replace, or not replace, but help out Bukayo Saka. When Saka plays, he's obviously phenomenal. But when he's used too much, I think we saw this towards the end of last season, he really did start to struggle in certain matches, especially the big ones. He just didn't have it in him, and that's because of the amount of games that he's played, I believe. Havertz has played out on the right-hand side. In fact, in his last season for Leverkusen, he played out on the right 12 times. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but when I tell you he got 6 goals and 5 assists, equaling out to 11 goal contributions in 12 matches, that's not bad at all. And while, yes, he hasn't been great for Chelsea out on the right-hand side, he hasn't played all too much there, but if he's given the license to be able to play the way he wants, he's given the support that he needs, I think Havertz could be a really good option out on this right-hand side. He has the ability to drive towards the byline with his pace, he can cut inside if he ever wants to, and then at the same time he can cut inside with his left foot and whip a cross in. I don't think that would happen all too much, but if it ever did, I think he'd be pretty good at it. He can also drift inside into the box thanks to the passes from Martin Odegaard. He can play simple 1-2s or drift inside himself. And let's not forget the aerial presence that Havertz would have in attacking areas for Arsenal from corners. All of this culminates in making a lot of sense for Havertz to not play in this position, to be at Arsenal, and to revitalise his career and possibly rejuvenate this Arsenal team. Just a no-brainer. It makes sense.